Mr. Fantastic of the Fantastic Four joins Season 1 of Marvel Rivals as a duelist, traditionally a damage and elimination focused role. However, this DPS character is more of a hybrid damage dealer and tank. It's a fairly unique role he occupies, but we'll walk you through how to do it well. Here's how to play Mr. Fantastic in Marvel Rivals. Mr. Fantastic, aka Reed Richards, can certainly be effective in eliminating enemies, but his abilities are much more focused on survival. Used properly, he's a menace of a tank that can sit in the thick of the action and alternate between doing group damage in one moment and focusing on priority targets in another. Mr. Fantastic's basic attack is the Stretch Punch. It does exactly what it sounds like. Using his stretchy body, Mr. Fantastic launches a punch combination at range that would make Dhalsim from Street Fighter proud. His left-right both hands combination does moderate damage and can take out lighter characters in pretty short order. Throwing hands right at the enemy can be effective, but Mr. Fantastic really shines when you take advantage of his ability to sweep his extended arms from side to side. To do this, throw his punches out and move your reticle back and forth. As he turns, his arms curve and follow him. Any enemies caught in the path of these extended arms take damage, allowing you to hit an entire group at once if you drag your arms around. Sometimes that means punching at one target and sweeping around, other times it means deliberately aiming to the side and pulling back across. It all depends on how enemies are lined up, so you should take the time to experiment and get a feel for what works best. Flexible Elongation is a move you should use early and often. When you activate it, Reed reaches out and grabs onto another character, pulling himself towards them and giving 75 points of bonus health in the process. If you grab an ally, they get bonus health too. If it's an enemy, they take damage, and you're in a great spot to throw some stretchy fisticuffs. It's also useful at the start of a match, allowing you to grab and pull yourself towards faster teammates as they make their way to the objective. There are two different ways to use Distended Grip. If you aim it at a single enemy, you'll grab onto them and can press the attack button to give a yank, pulling them towards you for moderate damage. Or, after throwing your grip out, you can take advantage of a short window to grab another enemy and smash them together like two action figures you'll want to make kiss, dealing damage to both and launching them upwards in the air. It's an especially handy move when you're trying to prevent an escape or to pull someone out of the pack and into your team's line of fire. Mr. Fantastic's reflexive rubber ability stretches his body and absorbs incoming damage, then reflects it back in whatever direction you're aiming. It's a great tool for taking big hits, and can even shrug off one-hit ultimates like Iron Man's invincible pulse cannon. Once activated, it'll last for 3 seconds, until you've received 300 points of incoming damage, or you activate it a second time. Once any of those happen, you'll fire a bolt of energy that scales to about 60% of the amount of damage you received, and the ability will start to cool down. As you use your abilities to deal damage with Reed, he'll generate elasticity, which is represented in the small meter under your reticle. Keep an eye on this. Once it reaches 100, Mr. Fantastic will suddenly balloon up, and will take on a shape similar to the Hulk for 6 seconds. During this time, you'll gain a massive amount of bonus health, and your attacks, while shorter in range, will begin to hit harder. Each time you punch and hit a target, you'll gain 5 elasticity. Casting Flexible Elongation will add 30 points, as will reaching out with Distended Grip, whether you successfully grab someone or not. Just note that points in elasticity will slowly decay over time. Mr. Fantastic's ultimate is called Brainiac Bounce, and honestly, it's not that fantastic. When you activate it, Reed will swell up like a balloon and start leaping into the air for a series of ground pounds. It's handy for a surprise attack, and the mobility you get from the bounce can be helpful to get in and out of combat, but be warned that the damage isn't especially great, and a big overinflated Reed Richards is an easy target to hit. How many times you bounce will depend on hitting enemies on the last bounce. If you don't hit anyone, you'll bounce 3 times, up to a total of 6 times if you're smashing bad guys each bounce. This also applies a stacking slow effect. How much it slows and how much damage it applies will increase with each successive hit. This isn't the type of ultimate you'll generally cast at low health to win a fight, but it can be effective as a surprise attack on a group when you have the support of your team. Reed benefits quite a bit from the team up with the Invisible Woman. When both are on the field, he gains an ability called Wedded Harmony. When you activate this, you gain additional resistance to incoming damage, and health you lose is replaced over time with bonus health. You aren't invincible, but you are extremely hard to kill in this state. Just note that you can't activate it while in your maximum elasticity mode. Instead, try to activate Wedded Harmony right before you hit 100% elasticity to take advantage of both techniques. As we stated, Mr. Fantastic is a hybrid DPS tank. Similar to duelists like Wolverine, he can use his abilities to target and relocate specific enemies like healers and reposition them in ways that make it hard to get away. And similar to tanks like Thor, he can use his abilities to generate health for himself. Managing when and where to do both of these things is the key to unlocking this character's full potential. Using flexible elongation on an ally as you approach an encounter is a good start to buff both of you. The countdown timer isn't very long, and you have 2 charges, so hitting it twice can set you up for success. If you have healer support, you can often hold the line tanking in the other team's faces, especially if you time up hitting your abilities for when your health starts to dip, in order to take advantage of all the extra health of your inflated form strategically. Ideally, you want to spend the majority of your time in the thick of the action, looking swole. Use wide swings in a crowd to deal at maximum damage, and as soon as you return to normal size, you can switch on your reflexive rubber to keep you safe, while your other abilities finish recharging. Keep an eye out for priority targets like anyone on low health or healers. As soon as you fire off the shot indicating the end of reflexive rubber, focus on these squishies while you quickly rebuild your elasticity for tanking again. Pulling yourself to them with flexible elongation is good, but using distended grip to yank them out of their team to expose them to yours is often better. If you can continue this cycle, making sure not to overextend out of the range of your healers and other tanks, you can be an extremely effective damage tank hybrid. Some would even say, fantastic. If you want to learn how to properly play Mr. Fantastic's better half, be sure to check out our character guide for the Invisible Woman. Find that and more in our Marvel Rivals guide. For everything else gaming, stretch